There's a clue in the Fourth Wing show news that you probably missed. I tracked every name tied to this project since Amazon first stepped in. I knew there would be big news. You'll see how one showrunner change could reveal where your favorite series is really heading and why it might not be the story fans think they're getting. A quick disclaimer before we dive in. Nothing here is official. It is just my own research and opinions. Topics could spoil too much for you, so consider this your heads up. And as always, interpretations may vary, so drop your theory in the comments. Half the fun is hearing your take. I want to start with what Amazon actually did, because I don't think it was just a simple staffing change. It's a breadcrumb trail, and if you follow it, you'll see that it points straight to just how dark this series is going to become. So the Fourth Wing adaptation originally hired Maura Valley Beckett, an Emmy-winning writer. She is best known for And With an E and Breaking Bad. But then, early in 2025, she backed away from the project. And that's the part that most people know. But now we gotta talk about who replaced her. And then we're gonna talk about why. Meredith Averill, who was behind The Haunting of Hill House. Now that shift could at first just sound like paperwork, but let's think about it. Why move from And With an E vibes to Hill House, unless this creative direction is shifted? Well, that's our first breadcrumb, and I actually go more into details about what the show is going to look like in this video. Beckett's strength has always been character drama, slow burn, emotion heavy in storytelling, which Fourth Wing and the rest of the books really could benefit from, don't get me wrong. But now Averill, she's known for genre attention, death, secrets, dread. So now the question becomes, what does Amazon want Fourth Wing to feel like? Because it had a higher chance of being more of a soft romantasy, but now it's kind of looking like it's going to be a gothic survival. Personal opinion inserted here, I think is better. Now, here's why the timing is suspicious and matters, and that's our Easter egg. The showrunner change just happened to change after Amazon finally could secure the rights to all 5 books. And she said that once they did that, she personally shared the full 5-book arc with the team. This is information that readers don't have yet. We got 3 books, and we've got some teasers, but we don't even know the next title or cover yet. But Amazon does. And once they got that information, suddenly, oh, we need to change who's in charge. That doesn't make it seem like some random exit, but instead recalibration. Now, I want to talk about something that readers noticed long before this announcement, and that's Onyx Storm. I feel like that book was already preparing us for the tonal shift. Think about it. Gone is the classroom safety of the previous books, of the first few books. We are deep in trauma, loss, morally gray decisions. Characters who once symbolized warmth are now wrestling with survival and guilt. You know who I'm talking about. So if Onyx Storm was the book that set the stage, and then on top of that, Hollywood got their hands on the series and happened to give the job to somebody who specializes in morally gray characters, grimdark, horror, thriller. Now it doesn't just feel like an adaptation, but like an escalation. You can kind of even just see the studio logic. We need someone who can really push death, not just desire. What does this even mean for our characters like Violet and Xaden or Dane? Well, now we go into the next breadcrumb. If the tone is going to get darker, I have to ask, who is going to survive? Because what tends to come with darker themes, and if this is a pivot towards more like gothic fantasy, well, somebody's got to pay the cost for that tone. I mean, let's go with Violet. She's already been through emotional and physical torment, but under Averill's direction. So now the pain stops being symbolic and becomes thematic. Imagine her art being framed less as strong heroine endures, and more, what does survival cost you? We also got Xaden, an Onyx Storm. He's charismatic but unpredictable. So under a horror-laced adaptation, that unpredictability can become a weapon. Will he stay the romantic lead? Does he actually become the moral test? What about Rhiannon? She could become the emotional anchor, the heart that the audience clings to when everything turns grim. If one of them dies or their dragons die, that would put a huge kink in these theories that readers are coming up with in their head, and major plot twists, since these are our main characters. Now the story is about tragedy. The question doesn't really become if things become dark, but like how dark. How unpredictable are we talking? I mean, if we go with Violet, we can literally get final girl energy or tragic heroine. She was our first main character. Xaden is the lead romantic interest with her. I mean, he wouldn't just be the external romantic lead, and readers would have to come to face with anybody can die. And that is supposed to be a genre reality. Rhiannon, the heart character, I think would be very expensive to kill, but her death would symbolize the tonal shift. Or what about some of the other characters like Andarna or Imogen? Those would be symbolic losses that would actually reshape Violet. So here's what my research suggests. When Amazon and Outlier Entertainment secured the rights for all 5 books, they realized they didn't just buy a love story, but they got to see the whole trajectory and could start building from the very beginning, the end. They now know how everything ends. Some adaptations start blind. They go book by book. So if the studio already sees the full arc, I would expect them to be planning long term. And since they're hiring somebody who is the expert in deepening lore, of escalating the horror, and moral complexity, so now we can see kind of what the roadmap is, which we can interpret as readers what the roadmap is for these books. I mean, I can see the producers pushing for mass appeal in the romantasy, and then when they get everything, they're like, well, that's not gonna land with current fans. I mean, there is passion in these stories, but I can see the writers arguing over the psychological warfare, grief, what's getting put on screen. I can see us being able to hear heartbeats and breathing and a lot of close-up shots, seeing the sweat. I just don't think any of this is a coincidence. In fact, it signals commitment. Some fans are worried that Amazon is going to water it down, and I think this shows that Amazon is making a real effort not to do that. So when you look back at the showrunner change, maybe the real question isn't if the tone shifts, although I think it will, but I'm wondering who doesn't survive this shift. Because the darker a series gets, I would imagine every character then might have a countdown. There's no way for us to know until it happens. So if Onyx Storm really was the warning shot, I think the showrunner is confirmation that we're heading into dark fantasy. I think we're watching the slow evolution of a romantasy empire blowing up into the full dark fantasy saga. So again, I ask you to put your theories down below and let me know what I missed and who's going to survive this. And that's all I got for you for FantasyScope. I cover the latest news, lore, and deep dives I can find across the worlds that readers love. And I'll see you in the next one.